During your toughest moments, which saying or phrase has kept you going? Grief is title. In time, it can recede and leave us with feelings of peace and advancement, only for it to wash back in with all its crushing hopelessness and sorrow. Back and forth it goes, but with each retreating drift of despair, we are left a little stronger, more resilient, more essential and better in our new life. Nick Cave. My best friend lost her teen. Nick Cave wrote about losing his children. For some reason, reading about a famous person going through the same grief in a public light gives her comfort that she's not alone. This might be an odd one. A lot of my tough spots in life have been relationship stuff. Feeling like an outcast, or uninvited, or whatever. Trying to make friends with new coworkers and it not working, etc. So I have told myself over the years I'm not going to beg you to be my friend. It's sort of been like my "he's just not that into you" mantra. I guess a translation is kinda "this hurts me," and I've tried a couple times, but my self-worth is more important than obsessing over this, dunno. It's worked for me. As a child, during the worst days of my life, I really clung to the idea that I can end my life if I want to. It sounds horrible, but the comfort of simply knowing I had the option, made me feel like I can get through the present moment. It made me feel some semblance of control over myself and what happened to me, in a situation where I felt an extreme lack of control and power over myself, my body, and my life. I could end it if I wanted to, that was enough to keep me going. I guess it worked too. Years ago, I was working for a man named Russell, proper bastard. One night I fucked up and I had to call him. He said, "Listen, I don't care how you got yourself in trouble. I care about how you're gonna get yourself out of it." 15 years later, it always stuck with me even though I hated the guy lol. So whenever it gets tough, I automatically go into problem solving mode because it is what it is, but how can I change it? Works for me. Not unto thine own understanding. When I felt like I didn't know what to do, I realized that I didn't have to do anything cause it would pass. Whenever I thought a situation was unsolvable, literally trusted in this verse and God. The impossible what I thought was happened, like my parents getting back together. Even if it didn't end up in the way I wanted, I think the message would have still carried with me. This misremembered section of W.H. Audin's Precious Five poem used to be my mantra. I could find words fast enough to face the sky and roar, in anger and despair, at what is going on, demanding that it name whatever is to blame. The sky would only wait till all my breath was gone, and then reiterate, as if I was not there, that singular command. I do not understand. Bless what there is for being. Well, when my now ex cheated and hid it because she knew it would hurt me a lot and I was kinda suicidal. After I found out my life literally broke, I managed to talk to her and we're now friends. I'm not mad at her, I promised it, and I know she was scared, but few days later I was really broken completely at the ground. I was lost, but the only thing that calmed me was her saying that I should calm. Okay, it's really stupid and really cringe, but I had nothing else going on for me in life at the time. So circa 2015 I'd hype myself up by thinking, I believe in Daenerys Targaryen because I couldn't say I believed in myself. If she could claw her way through much worse, I could get through depression in college. It worked, to be fair. Yes, I am mad about Season 8, when you to whom adversity has dealt the final blow, with smiling bastards laughing at you everywhere you go turn to, and put out all your strength of arm and heart and brain, and like the Mary Ellen Carter, rise again. Stan Rogers. That all your strength of arm and heart and brain really gets me. I listened to that song a lot during COVID. Tio. It's just Spanish for uncle, but you see, my uncle, who was possibly the most mellow, good-natured person I've ever met, fought at the Chosin Reservoir when he was a Marine. If he could emerge from that and turn into a great guy after getting no help from the VA with his PTSD, I should be able to survive whatever the hell is thrown at me. All of this has happened before, and it will all happen again. It's been said in both Battlestar Galactica and Peter Pan, among others, no doubt. A good reminder that hard times come and go, they happen to everyone, and you can learn lessons from them to be stronger the next time around. Helps me keep my head on straight and weather the storm. My grandfather had a saying which was like, Yggdrasil, it is your responsibility to stand strong and stand firm in protecting your branches. Remain true to the strength and you will show why you are one tree, not going to let yourself be burned or cut down. The branches he referred to was his way of saying family, friends and yourself. If at first you don't succeed, that's one data point. If nothing we do matters, then all that matters is what we do. Whatever you think you can do, just know that there is someone who is confidently doing it wrong right now. Believe in your own excellence as much as they believe in their mediocrity. Just keep swimming. Water off a duck's back, also. This too shall pass, also. Coffee is for closers, also. I can feel fear, but I choose to work from some other place in my emotional landscape, also singing Don't Rain on My Parade at full pelt in the car every day after work, during a period of working with some very negative people. Well, in the really tough moments there isn't a saying that comes to mind really. Thankfully those have been few and far between. In general I'm a this too shall pass on the outside kind of guy. The inside is generally aligned with, I have come here to chew bubble gum and kick I'm all out of bubble gum. One more thing, one more time. Back when YouTube was still in the early days I watched a lot of Josh Sundquist. And this phrase he said stuck with me through the worst of my anxiety. Still does. That and don't forget to be awesome. Thank you, Vlogbrothers, for being a positive light in this world. I wish it need not have happened in my time, said Frodo. So do I, said Gandalf, and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. J.R.R. Tolkien. The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Every good or bad thing will end eventually. All of your pain will only last until your death, so you always have the option to end all if you give up, but until that it doesn't harm at least permanently to try things that you believe that can bring you some kind of happiness or peace of mind. And once the storm is over, you won't remember how to made it through, how you managed to survive. You won't even be sure whether the storm is really over. But one thing is certain. When you come out of this storm, you won't be the same person who walked in. That's what this storm's all about. I had a first-generation immigrant scientist, who I greatly admired at my first real job out of college, grabbed me by the shoulders, looked me directly in the eye and said, "Don't sell yourself short. You're a smart girl." I remember that whenever the depression hits and I feel like a total loser, too. Simple and used a lot. Saying them out loud to just reaffirm for myself. We'll make it. And I'm not too worried about that. I know they sound oversimplified, but saying them out loud to myself helps remind me that I've been thrift-wise and not to waste energy. One of my grandmothers used to say, "It all comes out in the wash when things would go wrong," meaning it'd all work out down the road. The other would say, "What are you going to do, sit in a corner and cry? Keep moving forward, the devil can't hit a moving target." Not a saying but a quote from a Vietnam cow. If I had known when I was shot down that I would be there for 7 years, I would have died of despair. But I didn't. It was 1 minute at a time, 1 hour, 1 year. If you look at it like that anybody can do anything, you're gonna lose horribly. And it sucks. But if you play enough rounds, eventually someone is gonna suck worse than you. Inspirational quote. Some rando in Overwatch told me when I asked how hard the game was as a level 1. I made gold level before retiring. Just keep moving forward and don't give a shit what anyone says, just do what you have to do. For you, Johnny Depp. I idolized him growing up and still adore the man today. I will eventually get this quote tattooed. This quote got me through a lot of shit. Just breathe. I have this tattooed on my calf with the sun on the horizon. The idea is that you can't tell if the sun is rising on a good day or setting on a bad one. I got the idea from Castaway when Tom Hanks says that's all he had control over. I learned that most of those terrible days will pass and afterwards we appreciate those days of happiness. I always tell myself to have patience and find some joy in small things, even if it's just going outside and seeing sunshine and flowers. God is my pastor and I shall not want has been of great support to me in the past year. I am an atheist, but knowing the universe will provide whatever I am in need of without me even having to ask really puts my spirit at rest. The sun will come up tomorrow. It used to feel silly, like how could that have any effect, but being in the midst of overwhelming emotions and frightening uncertainty, it became a small token of comfort that eased the intensity. A good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan executed next week. General George S. Patton. His quotes, memoirs, even the movie, especially the beginning speech, always fires me up and gives me goosebumps. As though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For I am the baddest motherfucker in the goddamn valley. It's from Jarhead, but I've used it a lot in my life and it definitely helps. Some form of drugs, antidepressants, alcohol, caffeine, family, friends, jacking off, TV. None of that in a specific order or together, and some of those are good and some are bad. This is a terrible Reddit comment. If you can't beat fear, just do it scared. I used to miss out on many opportunities because of my anxiety. Repeating this to myself helps me tackle it. Now I just wobble through awkwardly with getting things done. Set down your grief for the life you intended to have, but won't the grief will be there when you're ready to come back to it. Now focus your mind on the life you intend to have. Commit to the present. Keep moving. You are not 5 years old anymore. My therapist told me this 4 years. I am having a hard time. I always say this to myself. It makes me feel like I am grown now and I can really handle some stuff, you know. I think often of the phrase, in the midst of winter, I found there was, within me, an invincible summer. By Albert Camus. Even when life sucked, I realized there was a part of me that still wanted to keep going. It can always get worse. Feel like it's good to put things into perspective. No use crying over spilled milk if I'm dwelling on something. Time heals all wounds. If something or someone hurt me. We have in Germany a saying. You have to pull yourself out of the shit by your own hair. It really helped me to realize that I have to do something and not wait for my depression to go away by itself. There's no other choice but to keep going. For some reason, when I feel like there's not a choice, I'm comforted and can move forward like a machine. When I'm wrestling with choice, I struggle so much. It goes on. It's a shortened version of the Robert Frost quote. In 3 words I can sum up everything I've learned about life. It goes on. The world will not stop if I do. Best to keep going. Stick to your guns. Pretty run-of-the-mill phrase, but it's more because a good friend of mine said it, knowing I was going through a breakup, and I still think about it almost 2 years later. You're going to be alright. You just stumbled over a stone in the road. It means nothing. Your goal lies far beyond this, doesn't it? I'm sure you'll overcome this. You'll walk. God, I'd be such a little bitch if I ended it now. After everything else I've been through might not work for everyone, but it works for me, and my life did indeed get much, much better.